second installment. I have been trying to figure out how to do this well, and I think I've come up with an idea whereby instead of one long continuous live stream, I will go live stream with each ride on the premise that it will be okay with said rider. So yeah, we're gonna try that and see how well that goes. So that's the plan. Had a nice little break here, and we're back on the road. It was a little slow. So this is a 20-minute ride, so I think it's one worthwhile sharing if there's an openness to it. I also usually just scan and see what kind of ride it's going to be, because I've got space here for like carrying lots of people. And so if it's an XL ride, that means there's going to be a bunch of people potentially, or if it's just an X, it's a smaller number, because that's the smaller package that Uber offers for rides. This is just a small one, so we will see how it goes. Alright. She's just sending me a note of how to find her, which is great. I see her there, just around the corner, which is awesome. So I'll just back up here. Hello friends, welcome to this Uber ride. I'm live streaming my Uber rides and sharing the moments I get along the way with all y'all, conversations, but I usually do so on the premise that I have permission first. So I'll just make sure I have permission from my rider.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, dear. That note was very helpful, Julie. Thank you.
I just had my eyes dilated,
Yes.
so I can't see a darn thing.
Ah, shucks, and you're feeling helpless
I feel a little bit.
and dependent. It's an uncomfortable feeling, isn't it?
Oh, it's not good.
Truly, my name is Binyam. Lovely to meet you. I wanted to let you know I have a live stream that I do in my Uber, but I always like to make sure my rider knows.
Okay.
Just in case you value privacy and so on, I want to accommodate that as well.
Oh, that's all good.
Okay.
All good. That's cool.
Well,
how long have you been doing that?
Well, let me tell you, I've been driving for Uber for a few years, and I've been sharing a lot of my experiences, like the recordings that I have when I have permission with my riders, because I really enjoy an abundance of, like, I don't know, really wonderful conversations and connections with my riders, encouraged by. And then I thought it would be really neat if I could share with them in the moments, just because there's so many contexts in which I don't actually get around to sharing. So I've only been doing the live stream for a couple of days now, and I've been thinking really carefully about how I can do it to ensure I have the privacy of my riders in mind as well, and making sure that it's all up to par that way. So it's a new frontier for me.
I love it.
I appreciate
I love
that.
You're stepping outside the box.
Yeah, I guess it's not something you commonly see or experience in the context of an Uber.
No, for sure. I just finished reading a book called Unreasonable.
Yes.
And it's about customer service, and how to run a business, and
What's it called
appreciate. It's called Unreasonable.
Unreasonable.
Mm-hmm.
What a great title.
And when you came out,
Yes.
to get to me, kind
Yeah.
of blind today.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my gosh, I thought of that book, and I thought, this guy is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
There's, I think there's something to be said about when we're applying ourselves to something, having the mindset where we can bring some value to that setting.
Totally. You know, and you're being really, like, authentic,
Thank you.
right? Like,
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
comes from the heart.
It
It's not
does.
just your job.
It does, yeah.
So you connect with people so much more. Yeah.
I learned so much new lingo when I was doing these live streams. One of the ones that, and I was learning along the way too, but one of the things that I kept reading in the comments was this passes the vibe check test. And I thought, that's a really clever way of saying this is authentic.
Yeah.
I've never thought of it that way, but I'm like, that really hits the spot. And so there's something beautiful again there too when you know that you're in the moment. Yeah, I didn't realize I was even being assessed on that threshold there, but apparently that's a significant component of online consumption.
Yeah. You know what? I just got news.
Yes.
So I went in a trying couple of days,
Yeah.
but I had gone to the eye doctor, gone to Emerge, and now I was at this eye place, preparing for surgery. So they told me that after surgery on Friday, I cannot use my phone
Okay.
for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh wow.
Right? It's just where the positioning of my pupil is going to be, so they don't want me looking at my phone. And I'm thinking, oh, I am so, and probably like most people,
Yeah.
so addicted
Yeah.
to the phone.
Yeah.
Like you wake up, you look at it, and
Right.
in the night you're still looking at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a nice, like it's a forced
Yep. Hiatus.
stoppage.
Oh
and
my
then-
goodness.
Yeah, just for a little bit. Hiatus, that's a great word. But yeah, just so that I can
Recover.
go out, recover, and then I think kind of find myself again, you know?
Practice that part. Yeah.
Right?
It's quite a thing to sign up for. I often think about how lost I might feel if I didn't have access to my phone, because there's a lot that I've tied into that by way of dependence and saying, okay, I like to check these things, I like to have access to this, I like to be, and so when you don't have that, one of the biggest things for me is, how am I going to reach anyone, or how are they going to reach me? Because I almost feel primed to say I need to be available at so many moments in ways that
100%.
right, and so I can feel that pressure point for you.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I don't want to depend on too many people because
Right.
you're so independent with your phone.
Sure.
Like I
Yes.
think it's more of a positive.
Yeah.
You know, as
Yeah.
long as it's just part of our lives. I can't imagine not having it. So I might be kind of crunchy.
It reminds me that oftentimes in our experience in life there are growth points, but I heard someone once say that they've never seen a person go through personal growth outside of trials and adversities.
Yes.
So it's rarely, they were saying, in other words, it's rare to find opportunities to grow personally in the good season when you're not tried and stretched and so on. That's when we like kind of coast along and say, all right, like we just kind of ease up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But in the setting
So
where we're deprived of something, or when we are facing some significant challenge that we don't know the answer to, when there's uncertainty or insecurity, it's often those moments that we find the opportunities to say, oh, this is not going to be fun.
Well, I think the universe throws that out to us, you
Yep,
know, just
yep.
to say, okay,
Yeah,
you know, you can't just coast along. There's more to life than this.
agreed.
And guess what?
Yeah,
We're going to make it tough,
yep.
and you're going to go through it, and you're going to
Yeah. And on top of that, like it's rarely on our schedule. If we were to choose saying, okay, here's your quota in life for all of the lessons you had to learn, I would most likely be procrastinating, leaving it all for the end.
Right? Well, as you get older,
Yes.
then you realize that it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to face these things.
Yeah.
It's okay to go through these things. But when you're young, it's devastating. And you take it personally, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is kind of the key to growing older.
if I were to ask you, in your however many years you've been alive now, the most significant impacting lesson you have experienced that's left you with like a trait that you value, what would that be?
Okay. So I'm 59.
Yep. No way. 60? Almost 60.
I'm almost 60.
You
That's what
do
my doctor
not
says. You're almost 60.
look it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Carry on.
But
Really?
so I married when I was 25.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I married a musician.
Okay.
And a few years down the line,
Yeah.
he actually got diagnosed with MS.
Okay.
So, it came on, but it wasn't sudden.
Mm-hmm.
So you got used to it. You got used to each phase.
Yeah.
And so currently he's in the state where he is at home and he can't get out of bed. He has like no ability,
Yeah.
no mobility.
Okay.
So it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
And I think raising 3 kids in that kind of situation,
Yeah.
you become patient.
Yeah.
You also become a little protective. But
Yeah.
in the same breath, I think the best trait is that you become understanding. And my kids understand. I mean, we all have our moments where we can
Sure.
fly over the edge.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's putting yourself into somebody else's shoes.
Absolutely.
You become empathetic and understanding. And really, in this world, I think it's so important because now it has become a little bit
Sparse.
cold.
Yeah. I hear
A
you.
little cold.
You're-
How about
You're,
you?
I will tell you my answer, but just another anecdote you're reminding me of. I was driving with another passenger, and she was she was with her son who has severe autism, I think is how she described it. And so he wasn't very communicative or responsive. But one of the questions I was asking her was, how has this impacted and changed your perspective on life? Tending to a child with severe autism. And she said a similar response was that she has more patience and has learned to see the beauty in the
Yes. Travel
yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
So we actually just don't travel. I will travel on my own
Yeah.
independently.
Mhm.
But, even if I take him outside for let's say a stroll in his wheelchair,
Yeah.
he finds the most joy in like the sunset
Sure.
or a flower along
Yeah.
the road, a dandelion.
Yeah.
Like those kind of things
Yeah. Yeah.
that you just bypass, don't even look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's absolutely nailed it for sure.
I value that answer just because there's a reminder for me when I hear it saying, where are those moments that I'm passing by along the way?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like savoring my moments for sure. There's a reason why I enjoy what I do, but it's also just to gain that bandwidth to say, oh, there's more here that could still be savored.
And to slow down.
Yeah.
Right? Just to slow it right down.
Yep.
And then you actually see all the little things.
Mm-hmm. And the slowing down is challenging unless you are compelled.
Yes. Especially now. But then I'm now thinking, in my future, next little while, that when I have my little 4 weeks, it will make me slow down. So I'm not looking at it as a negative, it's more of a positive. And you're right, it's all mindset.
Yeah. Okay, so my response to that same question. Okay, so this one here, there's different chapters along the way in my life where I'm like, oh, this is a significant component.
Mm-hmm.
But the recent most impacting one, maybe about 8-9 years ago, and I didn't see it at the outset, but in hindsight, only in the last few years have I been able to come to be aware of what it is and be able to use a word to use it. The word for me that I think of is integrity. Integrity. So as a once upon a time functional, competent, accomplished people pleaser, I was pretty I'd accomplished a lot in life,
Yeah.
but for the wrong reasons, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I basically, and I didn't even realize it, but I was just on everyone else's cues. I was following those. I was sensitive and aware of what that was far more than I was of who I was.
I think
And
that naturally happens.
tell me more. How do you think that naturally happens?
Well, you're surrounded by your environment.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So it is, I mean, at least going to influence you somehow.
Sure enough.
The parents,
Yep.
siblings,
Yep.
friends.
Yep.
So you choose those people wisely. When you grow older, you know which ones to choose.
True.
But when you're younger
Yeah.
and you have these people around you,
Yeah.
they may be good, they may be bad, they may
Yeah.
be toxic,
Yeah, yeah,
they may
yeah.
be inspiring.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I totally understand like why you would want to please somebody,
Sure.
because that does equate to a good relationship,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And part of that for me was I learned early on the ouch factor when I presented who I felt I was and
Yeah.
how I wanted to take up space in the world. The ouch factor being like, rejection or being mocked, made fun of. And of course, I'm like, that wasn't fun. So let me just protect that zone.
Yeah.
And so people won't have access to that because there's a fear that I'm going to get ripped apart in that zone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so along those lines, it was more like, how do I now fit in and gain acceptance, not on who I really am, but on who I feel I will get acceptance from others based on what the other person, yeah.
Right.
And so along those lines, as I did this for the next few decades, really, I got very proficient at being able to read people and say, oh, here's how we can gain this person's approval and acceptance and love and adoration and so on. And then I guess I just learned how to live for that. And so I didn't see how devastating that was until a critical point when it occurred to me, Julie, I knew more about everyone else, but I didn't really know who I was.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You
I
hear
can
that?
totally relate to that because
Okay.
it's kind of like my life.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And then the moment you learn to love yourself
Yeah.
really is the moment you know yourself
Mhm.
and people accept you no matter what.
Yes.
Really. And
Yeah.
if those are the ones that don't, that really just don't, then they should probably part of your life. Just
Agreed.
brings down your energy. And
Agreed.
yeah, for sure.
So to that end, I made this realization. It was a wake-up call, and the consequences in my story were quite dire. In that, how I presented myself, and this is why, in my accounting, I think it wasn't intentional dishonesty, but it was just the kind of self-preservation, saying how do I fit in, but presenting myself in a way that when I said, okay, I need to do an about turn here, and the thing that was at the core desiring was transparency, saying, what would it look like for me to be showing up in the world honestly and say, here's what I really feel, and here's who I really am. The consequences, like I say, were dire in the sense that I had a lot of people who had bought into something that really wasn't anymore, right? And so that shift was costly, and yet it was really important for me to say I need to do that recalibration. I wanted to, first and foremost, for me personally, experience that alignment internally with my values and externally with my actions.
Yes.
That's really important, and that's going to take some time for me to get to know Biniam again. And so that's probably one of the most impacting, life transformative ones I've had.
And you know what? It's good that you see it, that you recognize it. And what do they say about integrity? Integrity is you're always doing the right thing when nobody's watching. I think that's
Absolutely, yeah.
something like that.
Integrity, it's who are you when no one's watching, basically. Yeah.
So it's
That
true. So if you
resonates.
be true to yourself,
Yeah.
then hands down.
Yeah. And then second to that, it's a courageous move to be able to say, okay, first of all, let me get to know me, who I truly am, and then be able to now face the world regardless of previous experiences of rejection or like all the things
But
that I feared before.
You need to have that to make it,
Yeah.
your yourself,
Yeah.
your soul, right?
Agreed.
You have to go through all that stuff just to realize who you are.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
So I really appreciate that. And now it's become one of those things because it was so affecting for me. I remembered what it was like when I was younger and wanting to have this sense of wholeness, this sense of alignment internally, externally, but not knowing how, because there were conversations around this. And so now, being in this space, one of the things I want to commit myself to is saying, how can I be a catalyst for making this a more accessible conversation for others?
Oh, I love it.
Thank you.
You know, I have a cousin who she had gone through a lot of hardship when she was younger. She was a teenager in her 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
And she actually decided to face her demons.
Yeah.
And she started writing poetry. So it's her outlet.
I
right?
love
Like you're doing
that.
a podcast.
Yeah.
In terms of her,
Yes.
she started writing all these things down, like right from the core of like her emotional depths.
Yeah.
And they were tough. She lets me read them.
Yeah.
She's published
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
She does a whole bunch of things in Vancouver for the Poetry Society.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's freeing. She's a completely different person.
I believe that.
She is completely herself.
Love that. Her true self.
Yeah.
That's amazing. This is an experiment, isn't it? You're not on the camera for the live stream.
Okay.
But
okay.
I wouldn't ask if you didn't. I wouldn't ask if you did.
No, it's fine.
You're all right with that.
Yeah.
May I walk you to your door?
You know what? I think I'll be okay.
This is your house right here?
Yeah, that's my house.
Can you at least just grab the door? Just make sure it's not icy on the way here.
Okay. Man, you are like totally amazing.
Thank you.
You're the best Uber driver I've ever had.
I appreciate you. I enjoy my job immensely. Oh, that was so sweet. Thanks for being a part of that. I noticed a few of you were online for that connection, which is really sweet. And I hope you appreciated the conversation. I'm going to go offline again and then come back online for the next Uber ride that is lengthy, because it's especially during the lengthy rides that I'm able to capitalize on wonderful conversations. So let me touch base with you guys on the next live stream here, okay? Ciao.